Hey guys, welcome back to MDTV. This is your host, Daniel. We have Blake here, Blake Tovez.
Hey there.
I am an ENFP, type 3 in the Enneagram, and Blake is a type 3 ESTJ, Enneagram,
Banana lover.
yeah, with a banana. I don't know what
Type
it is.
B.
So anyway, this topic today is every action you take matters. Subtle motivation, right? And I put that context of subtle motivation on the end. To really associate with you guys that every little thing that you do really kind of adds up to where you are now, right? Not only is everything kind of like an equation in which you fit in. You mind muting if you're not talking?
Oh yeah, sure. But before you go on, I want to give a quick example real quick. All right. So every little action that you take, it's either helping you or hurting you. Imagine this ruler. All right. This is where you're at. Oh, sorry. This is where you want to be, and this is where you're at. Okay. Every little action is either moving you closer to where you want to be, or it's bringing you back.
It's a good way to see it. But anyway, yeah. So I think, as I was saying, going off of what you were just saying, that's subtle, right? We don't normally know when that's happening, right, Blake? It's just we're moving up and down the spectrum, and how do we really engage in with where we are? When it comes to the actions that you make, you have to take a look at the factors that are playing a role in where you are, right? So something that a statement that I think that we should think about first is, on a basic level, seeing your life in positives and negatives, right? And trying to become more aware and cognizant of this idea of positives and negatives. Now, I'm very familiar with this kind of concept because I kind of do this really easy to do. I forgot what you would call, not like an assessment, but it's like a something that I do with clients where it's called the box of life, and you draw a big square and you write everything in this really big box on a piece of paper, positive and negative, friends, family, work life, your emotions, whatever, everything that's in your life, you throw in this piece of paper, and then you put a positive or a negative next to it, and it really is supposed to show you on a more visual level and allow yourself to be more alert of really what's in your life that's negative or positive, so you can easily navigate and take out things that are negative, or start working towards slowly getting them out of your life, and then allowing positive things to come into your life. And so a lot of people, I don't believe, take advantage of this really basic philosophy of, you know what? Blake is a mean person. He doesn't support my work or my purpose. He is a negative. So I either have to compromise with him. He has to support me, right? Because that's what friends are for. Or, he has to vacate my life, right? So somebody that I do want to support me in my life can come in, or somebody that I can appreciate and enjoy my time with can come into my life, right? Though Blake is a great person, he may just be going through something, right? But, people can come and go, exit, and come back as much as, you allow them to. But my point here is that you try seeing things in a sense of positive and negative. Although it is super basic, you can use this philosophy with relationships, with family, with your career and work environment, your personal well-being and happiness and fulfillment. Positive and negatives are they're just like a fundamental, right? And I think you can agree with me, Blake, on this. It's just a really fundamental philosophy. It's almost like the going back to basics for personal growth, right? It's like, when you first start on your mission to be like, what, I really want to grow. I got to take a look at what's in my life right now. Okay, that's not good. That's not good. I'm not saying don't watch your TV shows. I'm not saying, every time you make a wrong decision to eat chocolate and you want to eat healthier, you slap yourself in the face. But the idea is that awareness is key, right? Not getting spiritual, but the more aware you are of these subtle decisions that you make, of these subtle actions you take day by day, you actually slowly start to become not only aware of them, but then you start to evolve your mindsets and your relationship with these actions. And a good experience that I can tell you is that you know, for me personally, there are things in my life where I've realized I was doing something, and I'm like, you know what, I can't do this. Like, I'll give you an example, like eating too much. Like, I love to eat, you know, I'm a foodie. And I, you know, I'm trying to cut my spending, you know, like by 35% with food. So what I'll do is, like, when I eat food, I'm like, you know what, I know I need to cut back, right? And I stop and I do something else. Like, I'll drink water, or I'll try and figure something else out. And I think that's really important because, you know, it yes, it goes hand in hand with self control, but at the same time, you know, it's our actions and decision making dictates everything. um, NLP technique. Oh yeah, right. There's tons of NLP techniques that we could be talking about right now, but we're just talking about basics. We're not even. I don't want to get into NLP stuff right now. Like, I just want to talk about, you know, fundamental stuff, right?
Yeah, allow
And
me
I
to
believe.
interject on that a little bit.
Sure.
So a good example of a basic strategy of trying to, for example, cut down on all the things that you eat or how much you're spending on something you eat. I know a good friend of mine, he used to always go up to this little snack bar, buy Coke, you know, you buy Mountain Dew, buy a snack cake. After we attended this course that taught us a little bit about financial literacy, they recommended that he sit down and he actually track all of his expenses, just every single one of them. And when he started doing that at the end of the month, he realized he spent like $80 on all these snacks and
Wow, that's crazy.
Coke. So just tracking your progress. You know, you can't grow what you can't track. I think that's
That's very true, and you can't kind of become in a better place without identifying where you are currently, which is why that positive negative example that I had before is so beneficial. Uh, which is why awareness is so key to your personal expansion, your personal broadening of the scope of what you're aware of, right? Being very conscientious, like, you know, expanding your conscientiousness of self, right? And so, like, you know, when I wake up, I know, I'm like, you know what? I know that today I'm gonna periodically become unfocused. So I'm gonna fight that, and I know what times of the day that I get unfocused, and so I try to set up battle plans and strategies, and so I slowly start to take over my day, and then I win, right? Or sometimes I don't win, and then I want to look back and say, okay, you know, where did I really, like, so, like, when it really becomes like a like when it really starts, like, when your actions and decision making really starts to become a conscious decision, a conscious, like, you know, thought, right? You know, like, resonating with where you are, accepting where you are and who you are, and what you're doing. You know, I think a lot of, you know, that's going to actually segue into the other questions that I have here. But a lot of people actually put a lot of these processes on the back burner, right? And so, you know, you have to ask yourself why a lot of people, you have to ask yourself why there's such a range between people who are in extreme poverty and people who are in extreme abundance, right? And sure, there are examples where people do not have that opportunity. You can take, like, let's just say an averaging example, you know, someone in the United States, you know, and they have this great potential. Let's just say they have the resource. Let's just say somebody has the resources, but, you know, they put some past conditioning on the back burner. They're putting things to the side of their mind, of their awareness. You know, they're trying to focus on other things, like maybe watching TV, hanging out with people that don't really matter to them, and as a result, themselves to succumb to, like, life's whim to make decisions and reacting points for that person, right? And so a lot of the times we can just kind of, like, drive on autopilot and, like, you know, do the dishes and then go to school, and then, like, you know, someone has to tell you that you have to do something, and then you go do that or whatever. And then, like, some days it's just, there's like a pile on of crap that we have to face, right? Like, one thing after another thing, like, something just goes wrong. um, and so, you know, my point here is that, you know, a lot of the reason why people, you know, struggle so much to move forward is because they are neglecting to face what's truly holding them back. Obvious, right? But not so obvious when you're in that mental space of trying to bring that thing out of the kitchen, out of the oven, and face it, right? You know, I always grew up to be someone who always wanted to face my demons, right? And just kind of say, all right, what's wrong? You know, what's not just what's wrong with me. It's nothing wrong with me per se. It's just things that happen, you know, with me. But like, I want to know my demons. I want to know what's going on. You know, I want to be more aware and more aware and more aware. So I'm able to wake up one day and, you know, if I have a situation, like let's just say with Blake, and he says like a word that's like a trigger for me. I don't know, let's just say he said, you know, Dan, you know, you're not doing your best. And then like I take that personally, but then that's just because I have low self-esteem. And, you know, let's just say I got triggered by that. And I'm like, oh, you know, now I'm in this really negative space. You know, we all have these kind of triggers. We have these kinds of conditioning that hold us, you know, kind of chained up against the wall from what we really want to do. And like we see what we want, except like sometimes I guess people believe that it just becomes so unobtainable, you know, that, you know, why bother trying? You know, I got my one job. That's great. I'm just going to do that. You know, that's my dream. I just can't reach it. I'm not allowed to reach it.
Right.
So I think like wait, hold on, Blake. I think there's like you know, you have to remember that there's a personal freedom that comes with creating your own actions and decisions in your own life, and that you are deserving to create these actions. You are deserving you know, without any negative backlash. Your turn, Blake.
And yeah, I think one of the huge number one contributing factor for people not getting what they want is that they're not willing to think big enough. Okay. There's a lot of limiting beliefs that people set for themselves that have been obviously influenced by people in society or their family or their friends told them that something is only isn't possible, or you can only obtain something at this level and it's okay to at least get to this. That's limited thinking, and it will yield average results. And you're going to feel very disappointed whenever you have high hopes, but don't have like high goals or take high action to achieve those high hopes. And that's where the kind of the motivation comes in to it.
Yeah.
And,
Well, yeah, it's like in part your attitude, right? Your attitude towards.
you got to be willing to sacrifice like what you are to.
I don't think it's, you know, like sacrifice. I think it's like you have to be comfortable with who you are now in this moment and accept that to want to become and transition to something that more resonates with what you want and desire for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can't sacrifice anything. You got to really focus on what you're overlooking, right, or what you're choosing to overlook, you know, personally. So I think like attitude does, you know, affect your decision making. It affects your overall mindset. It affects your overall mindset. And you know, I personally believe that like your mindset is everything, your attitude is everything, and you know, your optimism and your outlook for what you want in your life truly shapes, you know, the world that you live in and what's in it, right? Um, so my question to you guys out there is, what do you neglect? You know, what are some challenges that you're facing? What's holding you back? What is that thing or multiple things that are just in the back of your mind, in that dark cave of consciousness in the back of your mind, and you're just like, you don't want to face it, right? It's just something that's holding you back personally, you know, whatever it may be. You know, let's just say like, you know, you're a fantastic singer, but you have stage fright because, you know, when you're a kid, people laughed at you for singing, so you're fearful that people are going to laugh at you. You have this like fear or whatever. You know, it's just like a simple thing of like, you know, there's a difference between avoidance, right, getting in the way, and there's a fear of yourself, you know, and the difference between letting yourself get in the way. Um, you know, we become avoidant of situations that make us feel uncomfortable naturally, I guess, for survival. But, you know, in this situation, if you really want to aspire to everything that you want to accomplish, you have to face, you know, whatever it is that's holding you back, and facing yourself and knowing yourself truly. And that's all I have to say for now. Like, I don't know if you got anything. Yeah, no, so we're, you know, we can pretty much wrap up now, because, you know, we can wrap up before that 10 minutes, Blake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
So,
gotta go.
you have any ending thoughts? Because we're pretty much good.
No, not really.
Or Blake,
Yes, actually I do.
this is an even better question. What would you tell your younger self to do? What would you tell him to motivate your younger self? And I'll answer. I'll answer for myself. What would you tell your younger self?
You'll answer or I'll answer?
Like,
Okay, what
like
would
10-year-old
I tell my
10-year-old you.
10-year-old me?
Yeah.
I've really thought about that. I mean, I thought, of course, about what would the 80-year-old
Like,
version of myself.
you're in front of like a 10-year-old version of you, just like
Yeah.
doing your own thing. You're like, what do you, and you have like 20 seconds to tell him something. What is it
Oh
that you're
man.
gonna tell him? What is it that you're gonna tell your younger self? What are you going to bestow upon him? You know, what insight do you have?
I am going to fail fast and hard.
That's what you're gonna tell him?
So that you know what it's like to truly experience success. I don't know.
Okay.
Something
Well,
along those lines. I just want to emphasize the importance of putting yourself out there
yeah.
early on.
Oh yeah, of course, like starting now, right? If I had to talk to my younger self, like me being 10 years old, and I was in a room with my younger self and I had 20 seconds to talk to him, I'd probably say something like, hey, look, like, you are going to be very capable of doing many things, but you personally have to focus on not only what will hold you back. Don't let people get in the way of what you want for yourself. Do not kind of put people first. Put yourself and your needs first, and uh, and just go off of that. You know, I would just kind of like motivate my 10-year-old self, saying, "Hey, you already got the, the skills to do what you're gonna do. Just remember that you have a mission, and stay focused on that mission." Right. That's pretty much it, because I think my younger self is gonna eventually find out that he's good at working with people regardless. So,
Yeah.
that's what I would say. But you know, this is a good question for you guys out there. What would you tell your younger self at 10 years old? Like, any kind of words of insight to give like that younger version of you. And this is actually this is a really good thing to do. When you're trying to overcome different areas of your life, like self-love, you know, anything traumatic, anything really serious. But food for thought. So I'm going to end this here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we're going to have so much more of this kind of content here with Blake.
Give you much more food for thought because I know you're hungry.
Oh, yeah. Hungry for information and motivation. But yeah, subscribe, guys. Ask us any questions. We can do video responses. Just ask in the comments. We will do it. We're gonna do so many videos. It's gonna be huge. And we'll see. We'll see you next time. All right, guys. Cheers.
Yeah.